Hey guys, super excited for today's episode. I sit down with Peter and Yaz, business owners in Sydney's Northern Beaches. We talk about building them a property portfolio that's brought nearly $1 million in equity in under 3 years and how this benefits not only them, but also their family. Peter and Yaz, thank you so much for joining me on the KTG podcast.
No problem.
Pleasure.
We've been working together for now, I think, just under 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of gold that you could share to people who are listening. And I think your background as well was going to be very interesting for people to learn from. So I appreciate you guys coming on. Just to kind of kick us off, do you want to take us back to where you were with your property portfolio and your position before working together?
Yeah. Well, I think basically we were like sort of mum and dad investors looking to sort of take some of our capital and invest and try to think of, outside the normal what money we had and tried to expand that. So, but when we were looking at investment properties, we were sort of looking mainly around near where we lived, sort of, which is in New South Wales on the beaches, that sort of area around Sydney. So that was our first step. And then that kind of went from there. But then we realised that there was more to it than just being a mum and dad investor, that we needed to expand and go further afield, as in interstate.
Yeah, we realised it was more opportunity than on your own doorstep, and places that you could, a lot of people feel they got to buy property that they can go and look at the front door, drive round and, sort of see what's going on. But we realised that to make a good investment, that isn't necessary. And there's more hotspots going on around the country, and it was worthwhile investigating that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys, prior to working together, you had bought an investment property, in your neighbouring area.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And
without much knowledge, just saying. So, just sort of going with the gut feel and keeping our fingers crossed, basically.
Yeah, basically that kind of strategy, yeah.
And how has that one performed, and have you felt with it overall?
The property that we bought, or the properties that we bought.
A couple that did okay and a couple that did so bad, particularly in Queensland, which we kind of sold those and then just had a break. I think we were a bit sort of scared off. So,
but we did have, that was a bad one, but we did have some good results. But it was a time where the whole market was going on, so we were lucky to ride that rise, but it was more luck than judgment.
Yeah. So then moving forward, you're like, we want to make sure it's very intentional and we're getting the best results.
Definitely.
Based on
Definitely.
where in the market in all of Australia, right?
Yeah.
Rather than keeping our fingers crossed. Yeah.
What felt most unclear or overwhelming about building the portfolio? Because you guys are in a pretty good position as business owners.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, cool, you've got this borrowing capacity. You've also got some equity in your position, but it's like, how do you go about this?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
I suppose that's our direction, because, we can have many conversations between us, which we go round and round in circles, but then you bring in an external, force, and then they kind of, like yourself, and you direct us. So we were unclear, the question is, going round in circles, not really going anywhere. But then you bring someone in with the expertise and they help guide you. So that's really what...
Yeah, and I guess the overwhelming thing is you've got the whole country. You're realising that, you need to look at all areas, and the overwhelming thing is where do you start? We're not going to, we might say, well, that looks like a good area. We're not going to fly there and start walking, looking at property in that area. We haven't got that time. We're running our business and we're very busy doing that. So I guess that's the overwhelming thing.
Sure. The good thing is you've got the whole, you acknowledge that you've got the whole market in Australia. The bad thing is now you've got the whole market. Where do you go?
Yes.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah.
And I believe we met through another buyer's agent, a local in the Northern Beaches. And at that point, I guess, what made you decide to work with me, versus, I guess, the many other buyer's agents you could choose from?
Well, apart from your good looks, charm. I suppose, for me, that you came across very clearly, and your knowledge, and you're very sort of honest and very sort of calm, and you're not pushy, which is, to me, is a big thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's so many buyers agents out there now. There's so many
And some
on
aggressive,
Facebook coming up with all sorts of promises.
Yeah.
Showman, really, in a way. And I think, as Yaz said, I think that the points that she made, especially the honesty, the calmness, just data-driven rather than all the pushing sales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what made us feel comfortable with you, Kev.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, guys. And I mean, we'll go through the portfolio a little bit later in the conversation for our listeners here, but in less than 2.5 years, built the portfolio to circa 3.3 mil with 4 properties, and we recently did a bank valuation with 950K in equity. So pretty phenomenal numbers. And just a bit of a caveat there as well, like we talked about this offline earlier, we'll break down each property in a little bit, but with the bank valuations, sometimes they're going to be a little bit different to what the actual market is going to be if you were to list it for sale right now. However, when you come back and you've received, a valuation that you could potentially work with to refinance and access, it's a real thing that you could play around with to build a portfolio.
Yeah.
So I think for anyone listening, they're going to be phenomenal numbers, but we'll dive in a bit deeper. Now, what I wanted to ask you as well is, since working together, has your thinking around property investing changed at all?
Only in the sense that I would have probably not chosen the properties or areas that you're looking at. I'd be looking at them going, why are they choosing that house in that area? Like, where's the potential? That's it. You can't judge a book by its cover, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it just underlines the point that, you can't look in your own neighbourhood. There's gems everywhere. And, I think that's probably one thing that's changed for us.
Some with more affordability than other areas.
Yeah, that's very true as well.
Absolutely. Multiple factors and variables why an area might be better to invest in. Like you said, that the familiarity aspect sometimes is worse for you because you've got that attachment to it. Hey?
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything that you found that worked particularly well, or you found was done particularly well while we worked together in the team over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole process from you sourcing property from us, from your network in growth areas, which is extremely important that you've got that network that are finding properties for you. The whole process from finding that property to putting them forward to us, no pressure, just giving the facts to us, letting us decide whether it was a good idea or not, buying the property, and then after the completion, building inspections you guys took care of, actually completing the property, and then after the property, the support with introducing us to rental agents, and making sure that we were happy with the outcome right the way through. So it really is a whole service where we don't really have to do anything apart from say, yep, we like that one, let's go ahead.
Yeah, particularly when you're dealing with other states and all the different legislations that are involved with those too, whether it's a deposit or, the rental agreements. Every state has it's different. So it was great having you there to assist us through those.
Yeah, you make a really good point. I think we've done purchase over 3 states, and they're all a little bit different as well.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Deposits, everything. It's been a learning curve.
No, definitely, and I can understand, especially when you're buying a property you've never seen physically, or whatever it is, or an area that you may not even heard about. To make sure that someone's guiding you through that is really crucial.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really keen to get into a little bit about the portfolio soon, because some really cool results there, especially because you bought properties for yourself in your portfolio, and also one for your son as well. I think looking back, I bought my first property at 26. So I hear all these stories, and we work with some clients as well, like your son. buying it much earlier than that, it's like what it can do for someone, right?
Yeah.
Really helping them out.
Yeah. Set them up, yeah.
Awesome. So let's we'll go into some of the property portfolio if you guys are happy with that. So like I said, we started off, it's 4 properties total now in under 2.5 years. We did the first one, I think it was end of 2023, and that one was over in regional SA in Mount Gambier.
Yeah.
That one there, do you guys recall what we bought it for? Rough idea?
620 was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
620. And the recent valuation has come back at 900K with Bank West. Now, like I said before, caveat to that is you get 5 banks out there, you're going to get probably 5 different valuations, and we did. I think Macquarie came in just below that, and sometimes not reflective of the wider market. However, Bank West / CBA, the real valuations that we could be leveraging, and that shows it's like 280K growth, you know what I mean, in about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So I think by any measure, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think people listening, these are real results that you can be getting if you know where to be buying as well.
Yeah.
And seeing that, like, how do you guys feel?
Oh, little butterflies in my stomach.
I know, we feel very, very,
Very
happy
grateful.
with it.
Yeah. Happy.
Awesome. Second one we did was, I'd say, probably circa 7 months after. That one we went to the Barossa, another one in regional SA.
Another area we wouldn't have thought of buying in.
Yeah, I remember having conversations around there as well, like what is this suburb and like, how far is it from Adelaide and all these things. So yeah, I guess the conversation for those listening at home, like even though there's often this big conversation about capital cities versus regionals. All right, and the premise makes sense because you're going to be buying in areas where there's larger populations, larger infrastructure, bigger economies and all this stuff, which makes sense. But there's a very big difference between a small regional market and a very strong, regional hub. Big difference between Sydney and Darwin.
Yeah.
Like some of the markets that we buy in for clients, and some of these here that we've bought for yourself have larger populations than some capitals. Do you know what I mean? Like Townsville, for example, 200,000 population. Darwin is about 180K. So I think looking at the regions themselves is really important.
Yeah.
And you guys going through this process, you've had that trust in the data, which is really cool. The second one, you guys recall the purchase price on that as well?
660?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the valuations just come back out.
8 something, wasn't it? 8? Oh, I can't remember. Okay, if you'd tell us.
Yeah, so I think Bank West came up to high 8s.
Yeah.
Macquarie came back with us for high 8s, and then we've had high 9s for Bank West.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's about circa 300K in capital growth there, which is pretty phenomenal. And then the third one was around the same time period. I think you guys were like, let's go into Victoria because we wanted to get into an earlier market.
Yeah.
And that one, the growth has been a bit slower than the SA ones. We knew that as well coming in.
Yeah.
That one was in western part of Melbourne.
Yeah.
We got that 715. Recent valuations come back at 794. So again, about 11% growth
Right.
in that period.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But what we're seeing on the ground now as well, because we're still actively buying, like now we're seeing it heat up.
Yeah.
So
In Werribee, yeah?
yeah. And I think it come in at a really good time as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. So we're going for, and we'll go through the next one as well, which is for your son, but the areas we bought in terms of their economies, they're stronger than the one that we bought after as well. So for that long-term play, which makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
Now the one for Ted, you guys happy to talk about that one a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a star performer, really. I mean, it's the growth has been absolutely phenomenal, and I wish we had it ourselves. What happened, Kev?
Yeah, I think the play for you guys, because we've got a superior assets for your ones as well in economies that are stronger. So this one in Rockhampton, which is a strong market itself, but you can make an definitely arguable case at Barossa, strong markets in West Melbourne.
Yeah.
Particularly for sure. But just the price point with the one that we got that one at.
Yeah.
I was happy to share kind of that price point and
well, it was 400K.
Yeah.
And,
So way below replacement value.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And then it just took off straight away.
Yeah.
And it's now positively geared, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the valuation now, Kev?
Valuation for that one, like I said, we were like a bit earlier, Bank West, 677K, which is 69%.
Well, he's stoked. He's very excited, yeah.
Even if we're going off very conservative comparables, it's going to be at least 650, which
Yeah.
I'm super happy about.
Yeah.
It's amazing. What's the rent now?
It's all, he's positively geared it.
Yeah, 550 or something. So he bought it for
He's positively geared.
400,000.
He's very happy.
And I mean, the other thing with this, even if it hadn't gone so well, I mean, it's, he was 18 years old when he bought it, and it showed him that a method of making money by using good advice, paying for the good advice, which you regard as an investment, which, you explain where you get that back on your tax when you sell the place. And so you've displayed to a young person a investment strategy which most people at that age would not be aware of at all. So it's been with the situation, the way it's turned out, it's been a learning curve for him, but also very profitable one. So
absolutely, and I think it's really give you guys props for that as well, to kind of like lead into that. And like for any, I guess, younger investor or anyone that hasn't entered property just yet, who's in a position to do so, like even if you did something, you bought something early on and you did nothing for 10 years, you did your travels, you explored different careers.
Yeah.
That's going to really give you a leg up when you look back.
Absolutely. And our youngest son is also in a position to be able to get a place shortly soon. So
awesome.
Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit more expensive than it was.
Yeah, before he goes off travelling, which is what his aim is. So
there's still some really good opportunities as well. The market shifted as well, so we're seeing some really great opportunities in, like, say, boutique units. I think we've talked about this a little bit before. So we've seen the shift. It's going a little bit off topic, but all relevant. It's like it's all the same topic. We're seeing definitely a shift. Like we're seeing it in Brisbane and Perth, where the unit markets have followed the house prices.
Yes.
And talking about these boutique, low maintenance lots. One of two or one of six even.
Yeah.
Not your high rise apartments with
townhouses.
And townhouses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where really good opportunity. Where house prices in the same suburb are much higher. So the market shifts, right? There's opportunities still. So even if looking at houses in the regions may not be an option for certain budgets, still things out there for your sub 500K. So, yeah. You guys know who to call when you're ready.
Yeah. I suppose the other thing, like we've had several discussions before our purchases as well, where you take all the information from us and you ask us, what's more important? Is it the capital gains? Is it the yield? Is it, et cetera? So, and that's where that is a big part as well, that you guide us when you're looking at properties as to what's going to have the capital growth and what's going to give us the better yield and vice versa. Yeah. So that's really important.
I appreciate you bringing that up. It's like we definitely want to look at, before we even look at the properties and locations, because they all have different prices. They have different rental returns and also your risk appetite. You guys happy to go to different markets and different regions. And luckily you guys have been very open. But I'm very clear, and I always try to push our clients to have a bit of a strategy before going and buying, and especially for yourself, with your business and other things to consider, and working with your wider team, like your mortgage broker. You guys previously worked with financial advisors to see how it all fits in together, because that's where the real power comes from, is having that team who can work holistically for you, not having all different conflicting advice, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, was there anything else that you would like to share for those who are considering working with, say, a buyer's agent, or kind of on the fence about?
I think for a lot of people, I think for some, not a lot, some people, it's, I don't want to, part with whatever the fee is to go with an agent. But it's the best investment because, as Pete said, you do get that back, through the journey or at the end of the journey if you sell. So I think that's one thing that people kind of go, I don't want to pay someone that sort of money, but it's negligible in the scheme of things. So that's one factor. What else?
No, I can't think of anything right now to add to that. I mean, we would recommend to anybody looking to buy an investment property that they come to you.
Appreciate that, Pete.
To guide them. Like I said before, it's an investment, and there's no way that you can find the right property Australia wide on your own. I think you'd be silly to try and do that. So I think it's an important thing to get the right advice.
Yeah, also that you have all the information there, in front of you. Whereas, someone like us would spend hours, days, trying to find all that information where you have it all there. So there's a lot of less time wasting, and time can be quite crucial when you're looking at buying, as you know, if you miss the market. So I think timing is important, and that's where also using an agent like you, Kev, you have that because you have all that information in front of you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Where to for you guys now with your portfolio? I believe there's been some conversations about maybe commercial or some high yielding assets.
Look, I guess, we're sort of getting to the end of our working lives. So it's a time where we'll be looking to change to income rather than investing. So I think that, the next move probably would be a commercial property, which we've spoken about. So yes, I think that would be, and you have the contacts to give the same kind of advice that you're given on, domestic real estate, and you've got the same guys that can give us advice on commercial real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying, we want to make sure that it fits in with your overall strategy and in getting advice holistically, making sure that the numbers work for you guys and how it fits in with your overall plans for retirement and with your business as well. So it's all the things that we can go through.
Yeah.
But that's exciting from that growth aspect and then moving even to more the income aspects, right?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose something that, it comes up is that the earlier that you get into it, the better.
Yeah.
So, like they say, the best time to buy property is now. So, a few years go by, and like we've seen, like since, we bought those properties and Teddy bought his property, the way the market's moved, for a while, the minimum, investment you'd be looking at was 400,000, I think. Well, now it's 550 or around that because you can't find places. So I think it's important, that you get in as early as you can and get the journey started.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of gold in this conversation. So I want to thank you guys again. Any last notes you want to share with anyone listening or at all?
Nothing I can think of. Yes.
It's been a really great session chatting with you guys, and I'm sure people will be getting a lot of gold. So thank you so much for joining me on the KTG podcast.
No problem, Kev. It's a pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you. If you found this episode helpful and you want to see what's possible for you with property investing, reach out, info in the show notes.